before you lay two options, traveler. Peck the dogs, kiss the frogs, or kill them all for a sweet-ass coat. The choice is yours.
Welcome to Vouch, the show where every review is a recommendation. And today, I take a while to get to the point, but stay with me. Card-based roguelikes have had a huge boom in popularity in the last few years. Interestingly, many of the popular entries in the genre are also fairly revolutionary. Inscription was the first to marry the roguelike deck builder with the strategic card battler. Ignoring the fantastic set dressing and campaign, it's probably the only card battler that will stand the test of time, not being made unplayable by constant updates and predatory monetization. Oh god, what I wouldn't give for a PvP mode. Balattra's gameplay is miraculously simple, being classic video poker, but is infinitely complex in its possibilities. It's probably my game of the year due to that perfect balance. It's just bigger on the inside. Combining a luck-based hand-scoring game with the random generation of a roguelike deck builder was a stroke of genius as far as I'm concerned. There's a slew of others that fit into this category of roguelike deck builder by secondary genre too. Dicey Dungeons follows the formula, but it uses dice over decks. There's a little game called Stacklands, which combines the Doodle God-esque element-combining crafting system with a roguelike deck builder to make a fairly interesting civilization sim. And there's another game called Fights in Tight Spaces, which combines a roguelike deck builder with a grid-based, turn-based tactics combat action RPG. Has your brain turned off yet? Genre names fucking suck! Especially in this specific subgenre. Before I get to the game, I just want to throw this out. These games should be called deck delvers. Card-based game is far too generic. There is classic card games, there's card battlers. There's games that just use cards to represent the attacks a character can make, which isn't quite the same. On Steam, under card game, Card Shop Simulator is on the top of the list. But that's a fucking tycoon game. You can open packs of cards, but there's no card game in the game. That shouldn't be there. A deck-type game's gameplay centers around collecting cards to create a unique deck to the player. Games that only use the classic 52 cards do not count. Balatro counts because there are far more variations. Games that use cards as representations of a static list of options also don't count. The board game route is not a deck-type game, even though you use cards to denote all of your actions. There's a static deck that you can draw from. In a deck delver, you build your deck and use it as you progress through a linear set of stages. In Balatro, those are blinds, and Inscription, it's moving your little wooden dude on that map. God, the visual style of that game was cool. And if at any point you stop progressing, your deck resets and you start from scratch. Not counting meta progression where you unlock things that can show up in future runs. God, I love that mechanic. Or something like a card battler, where you use your cards on a board to attack other cards on a board against an opponent using the same mechanics. You do build a unique deck to you, but you keep that deck in between individual matches, and they aren't linearly progressed at all. So something like Inscription would be a deckdelver-battler. You see how much easier that rolls off the tongue? For the love of God, please let this catch on. It will save decades of human life before the heat death of the universe. Anyway, I should probably address the ancient whale god in the room. Slay the Spire is currently almost universally touted as the gold standard of a deck delver. But to be honest, I did not care for Slay the Spire.
What?
Did not care for Slay the Spire.
How can you even say that,
Didn't
Chess?
like it.
But Chess, it's like the perfect roguelike.
This is what everyone always says whenever they say, "Oh my."
Roguelike deck builder, 4 play styles, 20 ascensions. It's got it all.
I know. Fine game design. Did not like the gameplay.
What didn't you like about it?
It insists upon itself.
What?
It insists upon itself.
What does that even mean?
It takes forever getting in, and you spend like 6.5 hours, and then I can't even finish a run. I've never even seen the end game.
You've never seen the end game?
Well, how can you say you don't like it if you've never even given it a chance?
I agree with Stewie. It's not really fair.
I get to the city where all the guys in Birdmaster fly around and multi-attack.
Yeah, it's a great stage.
I love it.
It's a great game on every level.
I have no idea what is fun about that. It's like the game is a different. That's where I lose interest in it.
It's just a new mechanic. The game is changing to a game with more complexity. Something you don't understand.
I love Risk of Rain. That is my answer to that statement.
Whatever. I like Risk of Rain too.
I don't make these videos to talk about games I don't like. Every review is a recommendation after all, so I'll just say this. Slay the Spire bores me. Its art style isn't very compelling, and it's terribly balanced. Every time I do a run, I'm either frustratingly underpowered or mind-numbingly overpowered. So either my run is doomed and my strategy doesn't matter, or the game plays itself. This is similar to Risk of Rain 2. However, the gameplay itself in Risk of Rain is fun. I like shooting things. When I'm overpowered, it's fun. When I'm underpowered, I'm struggling, but it's still engaging. Because you still have to make choices, no matter how many items you have. And it all comes down to skill. If you suck at the game, you can fumble a god run, and if you're really, really good, you can pull it back from the brink. Slay the Spire's moment-to-moment gameplay is just clicking. If the game is decided before I even enter a combat, I'm not playing, I'm watching. And the runs are so long, I just can't give a shit. So what's the answer to all of these problems? The answer is today's game, Ring of Pain. The core loop is simple and quite literally a loop. You enter a stage, 2 cards face you directly. You can interact with either or pass to the left or right, rotating every card in order. You can pass enemies, but they have a chance to attack if you do, unless your stealth is high enough. All of the combat numbers are shown up front. You don't have to guess if you'll win or lose, or even do math. They know that health is best shown as a bar. There are chests to grab, potions to nab, gambles to make, shuffles to take, and doors that lead you ever deeper into the ring. And of course, an owl friend to guide your way. To light or dark, who's to say? Ring of Pain addresses every issue I had with Slay the Spire. What if instead of alternating between card collecting stages and combat stages, they were linked? Should I attack this enemy now, or should I spend some of my points to roll for a new item, which adds to my permanent stats and could make the combat go smoother? Or maybe I should save that non-enemy card in case I need to maneuver away from an enemy that chases me without provoking an opportunity attack. What if fighting enemies was a choice, not an obstacle? And while you're rewarded with points to spend on more cards from killing them, sometimes it's more strategic to avoid them, even necessary at times. This means a weak run can always live another day, while a god run can still die to sheer hubris. Combine that with a captivating art style, an intriguing, shadowy story you uncover piece by piece, and the kind of surface-level simplicity yet strategic complexity that made me fall in love with Balatro? God, I was drooling over this game the moment I picked it up. What doesn't make sense to me is just, it's so underrated. Comparing it to its peers, Balatro, Inscription, Loop Hero, Slay the Spire. I don't know how Ring of Pain only has 3,000 reviews. They consistently updated the game for 3 years, adding community suggestions and mods into the core features, and just showing a level of care and polish it's kind of rare to see. This is the only game ever made by the creator of this game. This is a very small indie project, but the level of quality and polish is obscene. Whether or not you like Slay the Spire more, Ring of Pain deserves to proudly stand shoulder to shoulder with it and other giants of the genre, and I just don't understand how it hasn't caught fire yet. Now let's add in the fact that you might already own this game. If you get all of those Epic Games freebies, it was free back in August of 2022. That was a while ago, but it's worth checking. If you don't, it retails at $20, which I would say is fair, but regularly goes on sale for $6. I'm putting this video out on December 28th. It'll still be on sale until January 2nd. You have time. Buy it or not. I really do care. I hope this shit takes off. Bye. Happy New Year. Thank you to the 3 people who give me $5 a month on Patreon. It's not a lot, but it helps if you know of an underrated game. Let me know about it. Maybe I'll play it, maybe I'll make a video about it. I've been on a fucking roll recently. My last 3 finds have been absolute peak. I implore you to check them out. Some of them are free. See you next time.